Cyndi Lauper once sang, "Good enough for you is good enough for me." Even though I'm the only person at Cinefix who has that song as my ringtone, I'm running with it and saluting the Goonies on this week's episode of Things You Didn't Know. Here are 7 things you didn't know about the Goonies. Probably. Movies typically take about 3 months to shoot, and they're almost never shot in sequence. Well, you might not have known that The Goonies was shot almost entirely in sequence, which also helps explain why it took 5 months to shoot it. That doesn't even include the 6 weeks they spent re-recording dialogue in ADR. So not only do Goonies never say die, I guess Goonies also never shoot out of sequence. Did you know that the original script for The Goonies had almost nothing to do with the movie we know and love today? There was even an octopus at the end that got cut out. There were so many rewrites that by the time they were in production, the actors wouldn't get their scenes until it was pretty much time to shoot them. Most of the cast didn't even know where Chunk was for most of the filming, after he gets separated from the group and is a prisoner of the Fratellis. The rest of them only found out about the whole Chunk sloth plotline when they finally saw the completed film. As long as we're talking about Chunk, you probably didn't know that Chunk, aka Jeff Cohen, actually had the chicken pox at the beginning of filming. He was so afraid of being replaced, he came to set anyway, and if you look closely enough, you can even see evidence of his chickenpox during the Truffle Shuffle. By the way, after the Goonies, Jeff Cohen put down the whipped cream and Baby Ruths, got into killer shape, and is now an entertainment attorney. So that's Chunk Esquire to you. Thank you very much. Richard Donner was the director on the Goonies, but Steven Spielberg executive produced the film and has the story credit. What you might not know is Spielberg actually directed a couple of scenes in the movie too. He directed the scene where the kids are following all the pipes underground, as well as the wishing well scene later on. Not to toot my own horn, but I could totally tell it was him. In the scene where Mama Fratelli is pulling all of the jewels out of Mouth's mouth, a lot of people assume that they did this scene in a few takes so that they could reload all the different treasures in Corey Feldman's face as the scene progresses. Well, it turns out Feldman actually could and did fit all of the jewels you see there in his mouth all at once, which is both impressive and disturbing, and explains his friendship with Michael Jackson. Ever notice how pretty the water looks in the cave at the end? Well, that's all thanks to movie magic, aka blue and green dye. In fact, the dye in the water was so potent, it turned all the actors' snot blue and green after they filmed scenes in it. I guess it would have been a little less alarming if they had just dyed the water to be snot-colored instead. Then at least no one would have noticed. The part where the Goonies all get to ride down that awesome water slide in the caves is definitely the most fun-looking thing that happens in the movie. Well, Richard Donner and the rest of the crew felt the same way. They would actually ride down the slide with the water jets on and everything after wrapping and sending the kids home for the day. Sounds a lot more wholesome than the usual shenanigans you hear about on movie sets in the 1980s, if you know what I'm talking about. Cocaine. Talking about cocaine. That's what I'm referring to. That's it for this week's episode, but leave us a comment if you have any other fun Goonies trivia to share. We did skip some things because they were too boring or they were already somewhere else on the internet, but hey, go ahead and knock yourselves out. Have fun down there, huh? Thanks for watching, and subscribe to Cinefix for more true-ish things about movies right here on Things You Didn't Know.